Oh, it smells like a garden. I miss my garden.
Intentionally living, intentionally eating, intentionally growing where we are.
Welcome back to the Padilla Family Homestead. Today we are working on a fun project. I'm making flavored salts. We're going to do 5 different flavored salts, and I'm going to take you along the process on each of them. I love flavored salts because they add tons of flavor to whatever dish you are going to be cooking, and it's just another way to infuse another layer of flavor. So we are going to be doing a lemon salt, an orange salt, an herbed salt, vanilla salt, and Cholula salt. The Cholula salt's my first time. I've done a sriracha salt before. This time I'm going to do Cholula because my daughter actually likes Cholula, so I thought that would be wise. I'm going to start with a couple of the easy ones and move along from there. So first I want to talk about what salt to use and things to think about when you're going along with this process. The quality of the ingredients you're putting in equals the quality that you are going to get out of this. When using your salt, I would use whatever grind or type of salt that you normally would use in the dishes that you would want this flavor in. So for citrus salt, I want a fine grain salt. I want something, I've had the chunkier salt before, and I have found that in most of the dishes that I am doing this in, whether it's baking or cooking, the fine grain salt is great and it's more universal. With an herbed salt, I like the coarser salt, and that's just what I'm going to be using for that one. The vanilla, I have a coarse vanilla, and I ground the beans in with it, and I really don't like that. I don't like, the beans don't break down, and so they don't like dissolve or anything like that. They stay like gritty, and so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do my salt this time like I do my vanilla sugar, and be able to use that. Now, vanilla is great when added to meats or chilies and things like that as well. So this time around, since I have a coarse one and I'm not super fond of that one, I'm going to do a fine grain. The fine grain that I have, the ground salt, is pink Himalayan salt that I have right now. You can use Celtic salt, you can use all kinds of different things. It really depends on what salt you use, what you have on hand. There is not a right or a wrong here. Salt is a preserving agent. It dries things out just like sugar does. That's why salt is used in curing meats and so forth, is that it is a preserving agent. So you don't want things sopping wet going into here, but on the other side, it will draw out that moisture and preserve whatever's going in it. So today I'm going to be using a lot of this pink Himalayan salt, and I'm getting this going. So I would use this in place of regular salt in a recipe. So the orange and the lemon salt would be great with fish or other things. You can add them into soups or any type of baked good, but lemon blueberry bread you can totally add lemon salt into. Anything where you want that little bit of extra flavor, utilize a complementary salt. So we're going to go ahead and get in. So the very first one I'm going to do is my vanilla salt, and I have some fresh vanilla beans from our co-op. I got a little while ago, and I had rum in with them to keep them submerged in a little bit of alcohol, but I do need to start working with them. So I'm going to take 2 vanilla beans, and wrap them in this jar. Actually, I'm going to do 3 vanilla beans because when I go to use this, I am probably going to take out one of these vanilla beans. This is, I probably shouldn't be sharing this, but this is one of my secret things for our chili, is using vanilla in our chili. It is super delicious. All right, so I kind of have it just twisted around in here, and I'm just gonna pour the salt in, basically like I would do with sugar. I'm gonna break that guy up. And this will gather the flavor. It's also gonna make these vanilla beans super dry and brittle, which is okay. We're taking all that moisture and all that flavor out. And then we can use these beans later, added into like a chili or something like that. There's not as many options as there are with the sweet, like the beans that are in sugar, because we use vanilla more in sugary things. But just like that, we already have one recipe totally done. I just need to get a lid on it. The next one I'm going to do, again, this is a new one for me. I have done this with a sriracha, and I did it with coarse salt. And I will say that I think because my husband is pretty much the sriracha eater, that we didn't use it as much. I don't use it so much in cooking the same way. However, we have used Cholula in our curry, and we use it in a couple other things. I could handle a little bit of Cholula in a big pot of something, not a lot though. So my daughter, this is her favorite one. So I'm thinking if I do a small amount of fine grain salt, it can be used as a finishing salt if people need to add, because I don't add a lot of salt when I'm cooking. So using a fine grain salt makes it easier for people to add afterwards as well. Whereas the coarse salt, it's not so much the same thing. So I don't have a perfect science to this. Again, this salt, this is going to go into the salt. The salt will dry it all out, and then you're just going to have that flavor left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour, I need a funnel. I'm too much of a mess maker to not use a funnel. So I'm going to use this container here. And then I'm just going to drip some of this Cholula in. And it'll start to clump at first and be completely separated. I think that is enough. So I'm going to just take this and stir this in really good. I could have done this in a bowl, but I have a lot of dishes that I need to do today, and I don't want to make any more if I can help it. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit more in here. So as I'm doing this, I'm kind of scraping it down that edge and really trying to get it to go all the way through. I am going to do just a little bit more Cholula, and then I'll have to add more salt to the top of this too. So you're going to do this kind of, you want it to be evenly distributed, but on the other side, you want to do kind of what looks right. You don't want it to be soupy. You want it to be pretty absorbed into the salt. And then as this dries out, I'm going to stir it pretty consistently. I am going to dry it. I'm going to use another plate, because I think that This will be best if I leave it out for the day underneath the fan here and let it just get rid of some of that moisture and be able to toss that around and then put it back in this jar. I think that is going to be the best bet. That is pretty mixed in. I'm going to add just a little bit more so it would fill this to the top. And just mix it in a little bit more. Again, this is my first time doing this particular one. So what I'm going to do is I'll report back in a few weeks and let you know what my husband thinks about using it. This would be pretty much ready to use right away because it's literally just sriracha in with the salt. It's already absorbed into it, so you don't need to really wait to use this particular one. However, we are going to. We're actually going out of town for a little bit, so it'll give it a chance to just sit. So I'm going to go ahead and dump this on this plate right here. And that'll make sure I can mix up any of the remaining. It's a really pretty, like, salmon color. And that is what the sriracha salt looks like. So this will set aside. I'll let it dry for a little bit, and then I'll pop it into that jar again and put a lid on it. Okay, so the next couple I need to go get a new plate for. So this next one that I'm going to work on, we're going to zest. We'll do lemon first. So there's a few things when you're working with citrus that you want to look for. Depending on your state, you'll need to know what is legal to sell in your state or not, so you know if you need to look for it or not. But I get organic. I don't want pesticides. I want to try to not get waxed. Sometimes some of them are waxed. If you can get lemons straight off a tree, I would do that. If you do not want oranges that are dyed orange. I'm telling you, they are out there. You are preserving we're preserving the zest. So if this is covered in pesticides, you're preserving pesticides. If this is dyed, you're preserving the dye. These are things that you don't want to do. The purpose of eating healthier and creating some of these things, you really want to know what you're preserving. So if you get stuff straight from the farm or an orchard, that is going to be the most likely, you talk to them, that they're not waxed, and you'll know what they're sprayed with. In other cases that you may not know that. Grocery stores may not totally know that. Even at farmers markets, we have a farmers market near us called Denio's, and I've talked to some of the guys at that sell the stuff, the produce, and when things are out of season and they're there, or sometimes even in season, they buy, some farms, some resellers at farmers markets will buy large crates of things that they don't grow and then put their own labels on them. It's not great practice. He has seen stuff happen all the time. And so it was kind of an eye-opener to me, hearing that kind of stuff from somebody who is there selling it. So making relationships, that's why people say make relationship with farms near you and so forth. I live in the city. There are some farms. There are some places to get these. I was not at the right season when I'm making these, so I went to our local store, Nugget, which is like super local to us. It's not all over the place. And I got organic Meyer lemons, and I got organic navel oranges, and I'm trying to do the best I can with what I have and making wise decisions. So you wash them off, and then we are going to zest these. I am going to save the lemons. We are not going to eat the lemons probably today. So I am going to zest these, put the lemons in a bag, and pop them in the freezer. Because then I can, or juice them, one of the two. And then put the juice in the freezer. And then I can use that at any point in time I want to. I get the zest right now, and I have the lemon later. The same thing with the oranges, although the oranges we're going to eat today. I already know that. My husband's been waiting for me to make this so he can eat the oranges. But you could dehydrate the inside of these if you want to make a big batch of these for Christmas presents or something like that. Like a selection of flavored salts in a gift basket is a really adorable gift, and they're super easy to make. So you could, if you're doing a bunch of these, then dehydrate the inside, the oranges and the lemons. Dehydrated oranges and lemons are great in tea and other things. So it's another thing you can do so you're not wasting or trying to figure out what you can or can't do. So I'm going to do the lemon first. I just have this little micro planer thing, and you want to go down, but as soon as you get the white, you need to stop. So you need to be rotating it, and you need to know like how much your zester takes off right away, because the white is bitter. You're not going to get a whole lot of zest off of a lemon, but zest is super flavorful, and it will make a huge impact. A little bit of zest makes a huge impact in a lot of salt. So I'm going to go ahead and go through and get this zested up. I always have to be careful. I feel like I'm going to get my finger on the microplaner, because the lemon gets slipperier as you lose the peel. Man, does this lemon smell good. You know, maybe I'll make some lemonade. It may not be a bad idea, because this smells so good. All right, I'm going to show you how much I got off about one lemon. So that is the zest from one lemon. I am doing 5 lemons, and I'm putting it in this size jar because I want a flavor punch. Actually, there's a little bit more on this. All right, so I'm going to zest through these, and I will be right back. All right, so that's the zest from 5 lemons, and because I actually got that much, I am changing the size of my jar to this. I'm going to go up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and layer this in, and then I will mix it in. So I'm going to put in some salt first, add in some zest, salt, zest, and these zest pieces are already super small. However, they're going to get even smaller, and they're going to really dry out. And what's nice is if you don't have zest on hand and you have a recipe that calls for zest and it calls for salt, you just use this, and it will help. It's not going to probably be as much zest as the recipe called for, but it'll still be in there. I think for Christmas too, like if you have people that you want to give trial things to, they have those cute little like test tube style containers that you can put hot chocolate or whatever in. I think tubes full of little flavored salts would be really cute. All right, I'm gonna break this off my hand. Okay, so I'm going to take and kind of scrape down this. If your hands are super sensitive to citrus, you can wear gloves for this part. There are a lot of oils. It smells so good. So I'm just going to take my knife again, and this doesn't need to be perfect. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this probably once a week for a little bit, because this could clump. And you want to keep it moving, whether you're shaking your jar or stirring it. I like to stir it most of the time because then I control how much of that zest ends up on top. A lot of times when you shake, the zest will end up right back on top. So this is now lemony salt. It smells so good. And that jar is done. Very excited about this. So I did the lemon first because I really want that to be concentrated with just lemon. I'm going to do the orange second, but I'm not going to like really clean this stuff up. I'm just going to wipe it down and then do the orange on top. And there might be a touch of lemon, but the orange should overpower that for the most part. So the orange is going to be a similar thing. I'm going to decide the size of the jar after I go ahead and I zest this out. The amount that we get and the thickness of the rind is going to be different depending on the type of fruit that you get. So just keep that in mind as you're going through. Pay attention to how you're doing this. Another salt that would be great, I just didn't find organic limes that had decent looking skin on the outside. I really like, sometimes you find them and they're like browner or have a lot of the scarring or something, and I don't want that for my salt, but that is great for salsas. When you salt your stuff for salsa, you can do that, or any dish that you want to have a lime flavor in is amazing. Another one is cilantro salt, and I will be making cilantro salt with my cilantro microgreens coming up in the future, but right now I am not doing that. I'm waiting for those microgreens. I feel like it's got the same amount. Now I got a little bit more. I was like, how do you get almost the same amount? Okay, so I'm going to get this orange one done up, all these oranges, and then we'll put them together. Orange is an interesting one. I don't cook with orange a lot. I bake with orange, but I don't necessarily cook with orange a lot. But orange has an incredible flavor. I think in the winter spice muffins that I make, I think the orange salt would be an amazing addition to that. There's, again, people do like orange cranberry things. They do all kinds of stuff. So anywhere where you would add a little bit of orange zest or orange juice, if that recipe calls for salt, then just use the orange salt in there, and this will give an incredible punch of flavor. I'm telling you, this orange smells so good. I'm very excited to slice it and eat this. Something else, and I don't know the science behind it exactly, but I get really bad heartburn, and citrus is one of those things that does that to me. Orange juice will give me really bad heartburn. Lemonade will give me really bad heartburn. And I also seem to, I have rosacea, and the citrus and alcohol, I immediately like turn red after I drink it. It's almost all like vitamin C type things. I kind of feel it. So what I have found was I used doTERRA essential oils, and their lemon essential oil is made from the peel, and I don't have an issue with that. And so there is a difference if you're baking with stuff and you want to get this flavor in, but you don't want a bunch of acid. The peel is great because it doesn't have the same acidity level for heartburn, at least in the oils. So I think that's pretty cool. I think this would be really good in a bread. I think an orange cranberry bread, this would be delicious. So I'm not a big drinker, but the other thing you can do this for is margaritas. Whatever drink you put the salt around the edge of the cup. Some you put sugar, some you put salt, but if you put a flavored salt or flavored sugar around the rim of the cup, it would just be that much extra fancy and have that much extra flavor. So this is another fun way to add freshness in the months that you don't have access to fresh oranges or fresh lemons or whatever. You still get that flavor in there. And again, if you freeze the juice, then you have zest in the salt, and you have juice in the freezer, and you are ready to rock and roll out of season. This is pretty much done. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I think I'm going to do a bigger jar than I planned. I underestimated how much zest I was going to get off of these. Which is a good thing. I'm okay with that. Alright. So that's done. I just have to find all my regular mouth jar lids. Okay, so we're going to do the exact same thing. And here is 3 oranges worth of zest. That looks so good. Alright, so we're going to add some salt, some zest, some salt, some zest, and keep going back and forth. Again, there's no magic number with this. I like to be higher in salt because if you have, there is a magic a little bit, because if you have too much liquid, your salt's not going to preserve it, right? So you do want to have enough salt that this isn't going to go bad, but you want enough orange to have flavor. Okay, so I'm going to mix that up. This orange off my fingers. Alright, so I'm going to go in again. Scrape the stuff off of here. And we're just going to go in and mix this up. And oh my gosh, this is smell good. I do feel like the orange zest added more moisture to the jar than the lemon zest did. I also feel like the zest pieces are bigger, even though I used the same grater. I don't know. I'm going to add a little bit more salt to this. And if you're not sure if you're going to use something, make only a little bit of it. There's no point in wasting ingredients if you don't know if you're going to like it or not. I'm making these because I know we're going to like them. Even though, like, I haven't made orange salt, but there's been a few times that I have wanted to use it in recipes, and I wanted to make it so I had it on hand. These jars will last, like, the salt should preserve it, and so as long as you don't see any hunky mold or anything like that, which should not grow when salt is preserving something, then these are going to keep lasting and be delicious. But I would make smaller amounts if you're just not sure about it, and try it out and stuff, and then if you like it, make it. And it's a great tool for preserving. And I'll shake this up later. I have a little bit on the bottom I'm having a hard time getting mixed in. Oh, maybe I just got it. I could see it on the bottom, but I'm having a hard time. All right, so I'm just going to leave that in the bottom, and that's fine. There's a big difference between the lemon and the orange. Okay, so that's 4 salts done. I need to clean up my mess, and we will come back to do the herb salt, which is a totally different process. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is the herb one. Now this is completely customizable however you want to do it. It's the same concept. We're putting fresh ingredients into salt. The salt is going to dry those and preserve those and gather all the flavor and be delicious. So the best time of the year to do this is when you're growing a garden and you have fresh herbs outside, and go out and you harvest them for next to nothing, right? Because you're growing the plant, you're going to get tons of herbs off of that, and you can make this. And it's a great way to preserve your herbs. I do not have a garden this year, and I didn't have that option, so I went to the grocery store, got some organic herbs. So they were pricey, but it's going to be worth it, and I wanted to be able to show how to do this before the garden season is fully upon everybody, so it gives you an idea of something you can do. You can do pretty much any combination of herbs that you want to eat. You can add in like nasturtium flowers into this and add a really pretty color option to it as well, so it's not just green and white for the salt. But this time around, I am using, my husband helped pick the flavors, so I'm using sage, rosemary, thyme, and then I wanted to add in chives. And this combination will be good for all kinds of dishes. It's a great combination of flavors. You can add basil in, you can add oregano, you can do a cilantro one, you can do chives and salt, you can do rosemary and salt. However you want to do it, just be creative. So you need to wash your herbs and make sure that they are decent quality. I'm going to go ahead and take this sage and put it in here. Now, I do this with fresh herbs mainly. However, if you feel more comfortable with it, you can do dry herbs. The thing is dry herbs have no oils for the salt to kind of absorb and to take on that flavor the same way. So you'll still get flavor throughout, kind of like vanilla in the salt, right? It's going to take on the flavor through the vanilla beans. But if I were to add vanilla paste to that, then that has a liquidy, extracty kind of thing. That's going to give it more flavor absorbed in. I don't want to add paste made with alcohol into that because I don't always want that in my dishes. So that's why I'm choosing not to do that. So I'm putting in all of these herbs. I'm trying to decide. I feel like these are not very woody. Yeah, I might just put the ends in. This is thyme. And man, does this make me miss my thyme plant. Another great combination for this would be lemon thyme and lemon verbena for putting on fish with some lemon zest. That would be some great herb slash citrus flavor for fish. I miss having my lemon verbena. I didn't have any last year, and I miss having that. So that's really like my favorite way is lemon verbena, lemon thyme, and actually preserved lemons on my fish. Second best is balsamic vinegar. So I'm going to go ahead and anything that's super tender, that's breaking off easy, I'm just throwing in there, and the stems can be a part of it. That doesn't bother me. Thyme has super tiny leaves. I'm really craving a good pot of soup right now with all these herbs. So March's task that I'm supposed to learn is shampoo and hair rinse. But that's going out of town more unexpectedly. I'm not going to be doing that this month. I am switching out my task for the month and for another one that's supposed to be later on in the year. And I'm going to be working on spice blends and learning and writing down the recipes that we like. We have tons of herbs, and there's sometimes when there's a blend that I always use, and creating that simple blend instead of buying it is a great option. And you can use organic herbs that you purchased at bulk for a great price and save a lot of money doing it that way. So I thought the salt were a great start to this because I want to have some of this stuff in here. I'm still watching my sodium. For those of you who are going to be like, I thought you're on blood pressure stuff. I've been off of my medication for almost 2 months. I'm still watching my sodium though. So again, this is all used in moderation, and it doesn't need a ton of it, but I'm going to put salt and I'm going to put herbs in recipes anyway. So why not combine the two and have them preserve some fresh flavor and create some unique things. And then if I decide to, I can gift some. Oh, it was going to be a flower. Rosemary, so delicious. My mother-in-law actually has a ton of huge rosemary plants, and it seems like every time we go down there I come home with like massive amount of rosemary, which is awesome because I have struggled growing it outside in the planters. So I get to get tons of rosemary. We use a lot of it. I probably use in a year, I want to say about 2 pounds of rosemary cooking. We use a lot of rosemary. Okay, so I think we're pretty much set here. Now I am going to, there's people do this different ways, and it really depends on what type of salt you want. So some people will go ahead and throw the salt in right now before they blend it. I really don't want to chop up my salt a ton. I want it to stay chunkier. So I'm going to go ahead and grind up these herbs first, and then I'll add in the salt for a blitz. And the reason why I'm doing that is I'm not pre-chopping these at all. So I've released a lot of the juices. Herbs are light though, and they're not going to go super fine in here without a whole lot of work. The salt kind of weighs it down and allows it to get even smaller. So for this one, I'm using Celtic Gray sea salt. It is a coarse sea salt. It's one of my favorites. I actually, this last year, have been waiting to use this bag. I have a lot of salt on hand and I have a lot of sugar on hand always because they're great preserving agents. And so if there was ever a reason why I didn't have refrigerator on some things, or there was some sort of emergency thing, I like being able to have salt that I can preserve with. I can cure and make my own bacon with it, all kinds of stuff. So it's a good thing to have on hand. It's actually been considered a currency at different times in the past because it is so valuable, and our bodies do need it. You can't go completely without salt. You do need sodium in your body, and so it's something that is important to have. So I always have more salt than I can use in a year because I want to have it in case of emergency. So Celtic Gray sea salt is kind of a moisture salt already, and it's a very large, coarse blend. I have salt all over me now. Very thankful I don't have any cuts on my hands right now. All right, so I'm going to get this blending really fast. Move this around. Get out any herbs that are stuck in there. Okay, that looks good. Oh, it smells like a garden. I miss my garden. Oh, I think I'm gonna need, now I'm gonna do, let me see. I feel like I should do more salt actually. I feel like there's still a high green content. And I feel like I should add more for the ratio. Oops. That was right. Okay. Oh, let's regrind that up. Hopefully that'll lock the way I have it. That's a better ratio. All right, it's a lighter green, and man, I'm telling you, this smells so good, guys. So good. Okay, I'm gonna get my blade out of here. Get the salt off of that very carefully. And then what I'm going to do is, this is definitely a larger amount, and I'm going to do this one in a quart-sized jar. I'm going to peek for anything super big. I don't think there is anything. We'll see. Actually, I should bring this over for you guys to see first. Look how beautiful that salt is. Oh, I'm so excited. Oh wait, so this is another one. If you wanted to, you could lay this out and allow it to dry up a little bit more. I'm going to be stirring this. Again, Celtic Gray sea salt's kind of on the wetter side already. and it's coarse, so it's not going to stick the same way that a fine salt will clump. I'm adding some to a small jar that I'll just keep straight in the kitchen. I'm telling you, some calendula, not calendula, nasturtium flowers in this. Oh, so pretty. I guess you could do calendula too. Something to add a little bit of pink or orange or whatever color. Okay. And that is it. We have made 5 flavored salts that are pretty unique in their uses and how I plan to use them, and also are beautiful, beautiful salts. And it's just another way to elevate doing things in the kitchen, your home cooking. It's also fun gift ideas. So I would love to know what flavor salts you use. Which ones would you like to try to make? Because I love the idea of extra salts, new salts. Truffle salt is one of my favorite salts to have with popcorn. And so doing some of these things, you'll find interesting ways. I can honestly see my husband putting Cholula salt on his popcorn. So just have fun, experiment. I would love to hear in the comments your favorite salts, which salts you are excited to try, which salts you think I should try. And then stay tuned, because in April we will be doing a similar thing with sugars. And so it'll be some different flavors, but we are going to be doing some fun flavored sugars. So we will see you on the next video. Make sure you subscribe to see our future content, and like and comment. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Intentionally working, intentionally choosing, intentionally loving.